Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Howard Watson, CTIO of BT. Howard, thanks for talking to us. Good to see you again.
Great to be here, Martin. Thank you.
You just done a keynote speech about 5G at the heart of the converged network. Before we focus on 5G as a technology, what are your strategic objectives at BT for the BT network and how do they play into the company's overall business strategy?
Well, we've just recently evolved and repositioned the overall BT group strategy. Very much focused now on delivering converged and differentiated experiences to customers. And right at the heart of that is taking a really, truly integrated approach to the network. So, it's no longer mobile, Wi-Fi, and fixed. It's really how can we integrate that together into a great converged experience.
And how do you do that?
Well, actually, 5G is at the heart of that, because if you look at how 5G is evolving, and I don't just mean in the sort of new radio end, I mean in the standards at the core of the network, we are pushing really hard to get focused there on convergence as a real opportunity.
Okay. When you talk about a converged network, a totally converged network, what does that actually mean in practice for you as CTIO? What does it actually mean? What is the difference between what you have now and what you're aspiring to become?
Well, I've got to make it really, through the technology, straightforward for all of us as customers of consuming data, such that we don't have to be continually thinking about whether we're connected to a particular type of technology. So what I'm looking for is capabilities in the core of the network that make that completely seamless. So you can switch between fixed or Wi-Fi over to mobile without noticing that as a consumer.
We touched on 5G. I'd like to go a little further into the technology within the converged network we've been talking about. How is that going to begin? How will it spread? And how long will it be before it's, if not ubiquitous, then commonplace?
Well, I mean, the great thing about 5G is now we've got the Release 15 standards. We had the early version in December. We've now got the full version pretty much ratified. That means we can start deploying the 5G new radio capability using the existing 4G core network. And so that allows us to get that increased capacity out to customers pretty quickly, and we're looking at by the end of 2019 for that capability to be commercially in the market. That, of course, though, is the start of the journey. We'll be looking at high-capacity sites initially, and it took 8 years for 4G to get to a 90% geographic coverage. Will it happen quicker with 5G? I think the market needs to drive that, but we'll be ready for it in any event.
Okay. During the transformation process and the convergence process has been quite an impact on the part of the open networking community, open source software, open hardware, specification, open APIs, etc. How will that sort of movement, the open source movement, affect your network evolution and convergence?
I think that's a great opportunity. So 5G already presents, much more opportunity for cost efficiency at the spectrum end, so more bits per hertz. But then in the rest of the network, so how we configure the base stations that connect to the radio access network, and then how the core is built, I'm really encouraged by a lot of what's happening in the open networking, to give it a sort of collective noun part. But we're directly involved in TIP, Telecom Infra Project, and there's some great things evolving there. In fact, we're showing vRAN here at the show, but they're also looking at Open Cellular and Open RAN. And it's all about finding a bit of a way to disrupt some of the technologies there to lead to greater flexibility and then, of course, hopefully low cost.
Thank you. As this ecosystem expands, Howard, with new open-focused vendors appearing all over the place, and as choice expands, what do you want at BT? What do you want as CTIO of BT from your vendors, both existing suppliers and the new ones who haven't got a track record yet?
Well, I guess I want the new entrants to challenge the big vendors. I mean, that's the way of the world, isn't it? But we're also developing really great partnerships with, I guess, the key vendors, the Nokia, Huawei, Ericssons. And what I want them to do is to really come on the journey with us of not just delivering the technology, but pushing the use cases for 5G. Really bringing to life what low latency can do, what massive volume connections can do, and start to expand what telecoms means for society and for businesses. And that's, I think, where we can all work together.
A final question to you about industry alliances. Are they shifting and changing, do you think? I mean, do the established organizations and forums meet the needs of telcos faced with the 5G evolution and convergence and open networking? Do they do what you want them to do, or do you think there's change? Because what we see, my side of the fence, I see these alliances shifting and morphing into other things.
I think we're seeing them spreading their wings a bit more, let's say.
Yeah.
So, we're actively involved in 3GPP from a standards perspective, in NGMN, I've already mentioned TIP. There's a variety of organizations now who are realizing that the shift from 4G to 5G is absolutely opening up the ecosystem. And so, reaching out to the automobile industry or to the smart manufacturing industry or smart cities, where there's lots of organizations there already. So I do think it is complicated. But I think the opportunity for navigating through that is what lies ahead of us. So if we could simplify it a little bit, that would be great. But the fact that we are at least branching out is a great sign.
I like the masterly English understatement there. Complicated. Yeah. That's to say the least of it. Howard Watson, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marty. Thank you.